Welcome to Ground Up Growth, where we share entrepreneurial insights, business strategies, and personal growth lessons to help listeners build success from the ground up.
Welcome back to Ground Up Growth. Today we're on episode 13. I've got a good friend of mine, Stephen Cook, here. Stephen Cook is the owner of Southern Land and Timber. So, Stephen, thank you for coming on. This is going to be fun. I know you're nervous, and I love it.
This is going to be awesome.
I love it. All right, Stephen, tell us how old you are, where you're born.
50 years old, was born in Jackson, grew up in Pelahatchie, went to East Rankin Academy, then the short stint for a couple years at Mississippi College, and ended up in Mississippi State with a major in forestry.
Okay, that was quick and easy.
Yep, we're done, aren't we? About covered everything I've got.
There you go. All right, so you said you grew up in Pelahatchie.
Yep.
All right. What'd your parents do?
My mother was an after-school director at First Baptist Church in Brandon, and my father was a Baptist preacher.
So nobody in the land and timber industry?
No. And it's kind of a
Was anybody
story.
in your family in real estate or timber in any aspect? So
Not
you
at
just
all.
cut your teeth yourself on it?
Yeah, I went to Mississippi College and was going to play baseball. Mm-hmm. And was there for a couple of years and kind of realized I was a third string second baseman at a D2 school and probably needed to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. So I ended up going and playing in an alumni football game at East Rankin Academy. And I had two friends, Eddie and Jimmy Harrison, that were loggers. They were a little older than I was. And I was talking to Jimmy, and he was like, "Man, why don't you come over here and live with us, and you can log with us this summer?" So I just, after school ended, I loaded my stuff up, moved in a trailer over at just north of Forest, and started getting up every day and going, to the logging woods.
So what were you doing right then? I mean, were you the grease boy?
Like day one, I grew up hunting and fishing and all that kind of stuff, but like day one, it was how to use a chainsaw,
Right.
So we did that, and I basically was topping hardwood, just running a chainsaw all day long, and kind of figured that out, moved to running a loader and that kind of thing, driving the crew truck. And I mean, it was work, but I learned a lot, and I met several foresters that were buying timber and over the tracks that we were logging. So I got to know them pretty well, and they kept encouraging me to go to forestry school. So
how old are you at this point when you're topping trees?
19.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I was 17 when I graduated. That would have put me 19.
So you did that before going to college?
No, I did it
in the summer?
I had been at Mississippi College for 2 years. That was a summer. So whenever school got done that year, I moved over there with them and worked, and then decided to go to Mississippi State into forestry school, and kind of took off after that.
All right, so let me back up. Any other jobs growing up when you were a teenager? The
same old cutting grass, working with a landscaper, cleaning up after a construction crew, just all that kind of stuff.
Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have a sister that is 2 years older than me. She lives in Ohio, been there forever.
I didn't know that.
Has 3 children. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. This is going to be good here. So, all right, let me think about what I want to ask you. All right, so you're 19, you're getting up every morning, living around forest, working with loggers. They're encouraged. That's very interesting. They encouraged you to go to forestry school.
Yeah, well, not necessarily the loggers, the guys I was working with. I mean, matter of fact, when I'd enrolled, they were good friends. They weren't a lot older than me, 4 or 5 years maybe. Mm-hmm. And, they encourage, I got the same old spiel, you got a job here if you want to go. And, at that time, at 19, pretty impressionable. I didn't mind the working hard. You kind of felt like you were accomplishing something.
Right.
You get that. And so The easy thing would have been, because it was pretty good money. I didn't ever have any money.
What was the timber market like at that time?
Oh, it was
Blowing, going?
Booming.
I bet that was fun. Everybody's morale's up.
Oh, yeah. It was, which logging's just a different, tearing up and stuck and all that. The hoses busting. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. But the foresters.
Is Kelly in the mix at this point? Or when?
No, this is pre-Kelly.
I know I'm kind of jumping around. This is pre-Kelly.
This is pre-Kelly. Okay. So.
Kelly's his wife.
Kelly's my wife. My first wife, my current wife. She showed me that on a podcast, current wife. Anyway, so I get to Mississippi State doing the forestry deal. I'm still working with the loggers on weekends and holidays and all that kind of stuff. And they moved to a track which was on the Mississippi River in Arkansas. So the crew would leave on Thursday evenings. And then I would drive over on Fridays and we would load up cottonwood and pull it down to a barge and load it on a barge all weekend. Then I'd drive back to Mississippi State and did that. They were on that track for a year probably. And so that would have been my second year. So they moved back and they had been working for Weyerhaeuser and got laid off my senior year.
Explain Weyerhaeuser for our listeners that don't know what
Weyerhaeuser is a timber company. They own a lot of they're a REIT actually, but they own a lot of sawmills.
Hang on. One step at a time. These people don't know what you're talking about. REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust. Okay. Right. No, you good.
Yeah.
All right. So Weyerhaeuser. Well, we're in this stuff all day, every day, and the lingo is it's. I understand it, but not everybody does. So all right. So Weyerhaeuser, you're working with Weyerhaeuser.
The logging company so Weyerhaeuser's buying timber to haul to their mill, and they've hired this logger to bring the timber to their mill. And they get laid off. There's a downturn, or I don't really remember exactly why, but they got laid off. This is my senior year in college. So one of the owners basically drives up to Starkville and says, look, we got to start buying timber. We don't have anywhere to log. So I said, all right, let's get after it. In your senior year in forestry, you do senior problems they basically assign you, I think it was like 2,000 acres of the John Starr forest, and you've got to do a management plan. You're in a group.
Gotcha.
So me and another guy, it was 5 of us total, talked our group in, look, we'll do all the field work, turn it over to y'all do the computer stuff. So we just kind of hit it for about 3 weeks and got all that knocked out. So I was pretty flexible my senior year, other than having to take speeches, which is where I met Kelly. That's a different story. So anyway, started doing that. So I'm buying timber while I'm up there and don't know what in the world I'm doing. But these guys, we got probably, it was 2 logging crews. There's probably 20 families eating out of this thing. Wow. So, man, I'm going and I'm cruising timber. And finally one of the owners, it's a pretty high stress situation. He's like, look, I ain't paying you to learn. You need to go buy timber. So to your point, the timber business is booming back then. That's the heyday, pine heyday. So, man, I start cruising. I just start buying a lot of timber. And I don't really know what I'm doing.
So walk us through buying timber, because you ain't got the money.
No, I'm working for them. So they've got credit lines set up and all that kind of stuff. And basically, when you graduate from forestry school, there's basically 2 options you can go in. You can do, there's probably more than that, but the common thing is to go into consulting, which you manage people's places. You put out bid sales, you thin their pine for them. Well, which
would be parallel or comparable to a property manager on a single family rental house. Like, hey, correct. Look, you're an out-of-state owner. We'll handle the management. We'll deal with maintenance and repairs as they come up. We'll collect the rent. We charge a 10% or whatever that property management fee is. It's the same thing. Am I right?
Correct.
Parallel to that.
That's correct.
It's an asset class that somebody is treating as passive income, investing in timberland.
Correct.
And
that's exactly
paying you
right.
off the top.
Yep.
Okay.
I think they charge, it varies 6 to 8%, something like that. They flag the lines. They do all that. Well, what they do is when they get ready to sell timber, they put a prospectus out and send it to guys like me, timber buyers.
Yeah.
And back then, that was the heyday. So that's 97, 98, something like that. So the pine boom. So literally getting 20 prospectuses a week to get. It's nothing like that now, but doing that and then buying negotiated stuff. And also I would go out there. If Paul had 40 acres to sell, consultant would send it out. I'd go cruise it. We had all the contracts with the mills, and everybody kind of gets you have relationships with them. Right. So I've got a good relationship with Mill X, and I can haul this. So everybody's kind of playing on a little different field. So you're buying, I'd cruise it, work it up, and turn the bid in. Well, I was just getting beat down. Nobody trained me to cruise timber, right? So, when I had that conversation with him, I was like, well, we got to have somewhere to work. Let's go buy it. So I did. I started buying a lot of it, but at that time was completely different than the way it is today. The timber market was moving so fast. I would buy stuff off today's I got something from the mill. This is what they're paying me. Well, before I could even close it, these mills knew who would buy, and they call you up. We want that wood. We we'll give you X. And then this mill we give you X. So, it was kind of hard for me to lose back then because the market was moving so fast, it was catching up with me.
Right, yeah.
So I didn't make any major mistakes doing that. I did lose a little money on some tracks, which you're kind of going to do when you buy competitively.
Yeah, but, in the volatility of the timber market in general, I think.
That's right. So anyway, that.
But so when you buy timber, walk our listeners through. So when you buy timber, because you hear timber deed, and a lot of people in real estate that are listening to the podcast don't even understand what a timber deed is. So it's usually a time frame, a window that you're allowed to go in there and cut that timber, right?
Correct.
And that way you can play the weather, topography, whatever is what you call wet cutting or dry cutting or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Walk us through just the parameters of timber buying.
Okay, so I went over kind of the consultant sends out a prospectus, something. How you get a lot of my stuff now is negotiated. Guys just know I've been doing it for 25 years now, so they call. But basically, I'd go cruise the timber, work it up, which is basically statistics. I take a sample size. So on 40 acres, I would put in 40 10th acre plots, and I'd actually measure all those trees, classify them, pine logs, how tall they are, that kind of thing, and then work them up. I know how much I'm paying my logger. I know how much I'm getting, and just work the bid up. And
so when
I don't know how this works, but I don't remember the question. So, I'm sorry, I got to talking.
So, all right, you're doing all that. You put the bid in. When you buy the timber, though,
right.
What's a typical time frame that you get to cut it?
Okay.
Just kind of the parameters of the actual timber buying and what a timber deed is.
Yeah.
Short of just I bought the timber.
All right. So I'm the high bid. I've been awarded the contract. So the first thing I do is hire an attorney who do a title opinion to show that they own the property. If there's a lien on it with a bank or something, you can get what's called a partial release. So you have to get with the bank. Sometimes they want part of the money. Sometimes they don't. But get that released from them.
And what that is, to explain that, we could unpack this thing for days, but if somebody owns a tract of land and they have a loan, let's just say it's a $500,000 tract of land they buy and they take out 80% loan to value, so they're borrowing $400,000. So they have a $500,000 piece of property. They owe $400,000. They call Stephen Cook, come cut my timber. He comes in and cuts $200,000 of timber off of it.
Right.
Those measures are in place so that Stephen Cook doesn't pay the landowner $200,000. The landowner takes $200,000, looks at the bank and says, "Whoops, can't make my payment. Y'all deal with it. Here's the keys to cut over."
Right.
So what he's saying there, a partial release would be that the bank would say the $200,000 goes from Cook to the bank, right?
Yeah, or they might say, yeah, we're good with it. We want 100,
right,
or 150, or a lot of times, to be honest with you, especially if you've got a larger track and it's a wreck and there's something on. A lot of times they don't take any of it if the loan's secure and stuff like that, just depending on the percentages and all. But
loan to value, or how much. equity or skin the bank has in it.
That's right.
For their risk, to protect their risk. So, okay.
So after that, the attorney will prepare a warranty timber deed, which basically is what you described. It gives me, it lays out all the parameters of what I'm doing, whether it's all merchantable timber or all timber marked with blue paint or just any scenario you can kind of think of, lays that out, how I'll perform that. I've got insurance, all that kind of stuff is in there. And
reclamation, like how you leave it on your way out.
Roads is usually a big thing, stuff like that, food plots and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll meet, get the deed signed. It's got to be notarized, and the landowner gets a check and gets
so
recorded.
You're paying up front right then.
That's
and
correct.
Then what is a typical window for you to be able to, because just because you bought the timber today doesn't mean you have to start cutting tomorrow.
Used to, before I got this gray hair on the side of me and stuff called wisdom, I'd do 3 months, 6 months, whatever. Now a typical, I won't do anything under 12 to 18 months.
And that protects you.
It protects me, and it protects the landowner, especially just say it's a bottomland hardwood, so it gets wet. So really, out of 12 months, you've probably got 3 or 4 that you can actually be in there. Well,
you've got other tracks bought.
Yeah, I've got other tracks, and mills steady going up and down.
Yeah, I want you to talk about the mill, because the mills dictate everything.
Oh yeah, I mean
I want you to talk about like quotas and just kind of so that the listener understands, it's not just a matter of cutting trees and then sending them to Home Depot and they pop out like a 2x4. So
right. So the way the mill works is they have what's called every mill's a little different, but what's called gatewood. That means if a truck shows up down at Weyerhaeuser and it's under Southern Land and Timber, they've got a gatewood price for that. So just for easy math, just say it's $40 a ton for pine logs being delivered in there. All right. Well, I can get, when I go out and cruise and do all the things to get ready for the bid, I'll call my rep at Weyerhaeuser and say, hey man, I got a track I think y'all will be interested in. It's got 2,000 tons of pine logs on it. It's winter log, and I can bring it to you when you want to. What can you give me for it? Mm-hmm. So, but the mills are volatile. It depends on their inventory and what it's doing and all. So sometimes they might say, man, just, let's look at it when you get there kind of thing. Or I might say, wintertime's pretty wet. These mills are going to need something. I'm gonna go a little above gatewood, see if I can buy this track and just see what the mills are at the time.
Right.
So you just kind of play in the market.
There's a gambling effect there. So, and that's to your point about, having a timber deed that's, longer than 3 to 6 months. It protects you, but to your point, it also protects the landowner for if the landowner wants to gamble, and if you want to, because as you ease into winter logging, the prices to the landowner are going to go up. Right. So it's really everybody's going to have a different appetite for that.
It is. It's so volatile. You've kind of got to have a stomach for it because, you've got quotas, which means they tell you how much wood you can haul to them, which dictates what loggers you can move on the track. And if I can even cut, if I'm on a 30-year-old pine plantation that I'm clear cutting, and the mill calls me and says, hey, you only got 20 loads this week. My logger gets 120. I can't cut.
That ain't gonna work.
I got to go somewhere else, which kicks that can down the road, and, you get to doing that. It's, I don't do the stock market, so I can't compare it to that. But, there's trends involved, obviously. We're not just all gunslinging, every time we bid on something. But it is, you just don't know. One of the main reasons I kind of went to 12 months is because I don't remember when, mid-2000s, International Paper in Vicksburg had a boiler blow up. Well, the mill didn't buy anything for 2 months. Oh, so I couldn't cut anything.
Right.
So I've got these tracks that I bought, paying interest on, all this, and I can't do anything with them. I just got to sit there. Now, we're here in Mississippi. Most people are good people, and you can sit down and have an adult conversation and, hey, this is going on.
Right.
But I've had some sticky situations where folks are like, no, man, you signed a contract and this stuff, it's either out of here or it's mine.
Wow. Goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
And that frames it up a lot better for people that, because I know, stereotypically people in general, like, don't cut that hardwood, just like the,
Yeah.
I know you see it and I tell people all the time, it's never going to look as bad as it's going to look worse than you think it looks. Yeah. Even on a thinning, people just don't understand. But when they're like, don't cut that, and we could dive off into the whole, cycle of life with, management and you need to cut and all that, but
this probably doesn't need to go on the podcast, but so Kelly and I were riding down the road one time, and I was buying some timber from an older lady, and it was hardwood timber, and she wanted to clear cut. It was, I think, going to sell the house and move somewhere else where her kids were. So anyway, so we were on the phone, and I was telling her, I'm getting the contract, and I was like, Miss Smith, I said, now it's going to look bad. I mean, it's going to look terrible. And we talked a little bit. I said, it's going to look like a bomb went off. It's a hardwood clip. There's tops everywhere and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, fast forward, we get off the phone, and my wife goes, I don't think that's the best sales technique. You might want to work on that. I said, Kelly, you can tell these people, but she's looked at that every day. It's devastating. It just looks different. But if you'll give, God created it. If you give it time,
it'll heal back.
It'll heal back. And I to your point, on the hardwood, nobody wanting to cut hardwood and that kind of thing. Well, I remember the first time that a client wanted me to meet with him and the biologist out there to look at a hardwood bottom. And I was like, man, I don't, nobody wants to cut it. I don't want to spend my Saturday out here with this guy. So anyway, we ride around, and the first thing he tells them is, you've got to open up your canopy and get some sunlight on the ground.
Right.
That's what you've got to do. If you want, greenbrier and honeysuckle and all that stuff on the ground, if you want to hold deer and you want to feed them, you've got to, what we call take the top off of it.
Right.
You've got to open it up. And I was like, man, this is the guy here, because I'm telling them this stuff, and they see the guy buying timber.
Yeah,
and he wants to get all the good stuff and all that kind of thing. So,
and there was born the wildlife cut.
Do what?
There was born the wildlife cut.
Yeah, that's exactly. But it's the truth.
It is for sure.
And there's other. It always comes down to landowner objectives.
That's right.
I can tell them forestry wise what I think's the best thing for them, but. Man,
do you want to kill a big deer, or do you want to pay for your kids' college tuition?
Yeah, and you don't ever know what's going on. Like you see this little block, and you mention, man, that's we really need to get in there and thin that or do something. The landowners just kind of put you off a little bit and get back, and that's where his son killed his first squirrel. Well, that makes sense to me. Yeah, let's don't touch that thing. That's a bigger objective than going in there and do it. So everybody's kind of got a little different. I try not to, again, I just give them what I think they should do forestry wise. And after that, I just kind of let them go. Cause I don't know what the background is in all of it.
Right.
So
that's a good point.
We go from there, but
yeah, there's a lot of layers to that. Debunk the whole, cause I get this call all the time in real estate. Cause we sell so many 5, 10, 20 acre lots. It's, hey, you got anybody to come cut this 5 acre block? And it's like, you're not mobilizing for 5 acres. What do you like to see minimum acre wise? That's just a general question that we get a lot of times.
Just a general rule. It's kind of like everything else.
And I know that depends on how far you are from the mill and what the species is and what the market's doing, but just general.
Back 25 years ago, I had some small loggers. And you could cut smaller tracts, not really 5 acres, but some of the smaller stuff. But in this day and age, a new skidder right now is going to run you $350,000. You've got with an average size logging crew with a cutter, a skidder, and a loader, bulldozer out there, and probably 4 trucks. You're bumping $1.5 million to $2 million. So that stuff's got to be moving.
Right.
And to cover that, these loggers are now needing to get, 80 to 100 loads a week as opposed to 40 or 50. So it's generally the number of loads on the track. I pretty much know 5 acres ain't going to have enough loads, but if somebody calls me 20, 25, it's worth me going to look at, because if it's really good, it might have enough on there to do it. But
and it may present an opportunity to parlay into reaching out to the neighbors to
That's
say,
right.
hey, look, we're looking at cutting Johnny's spot. Do you want to tag team? Prices are good, or
That's exactly right.
So, all right, very interesting. All right, so, and we can talk more about all that, but I do want to kind of skirt back into you and Southern Land and Timber. And, all right, how was Southern Land and Timber born? And because I know you've told me before you had a fleet of foresters and trucks and
Yeah, I've kind of. So in 2020, I worked with the loggers that I took for about a year out of school and got hired by another company out of Alabama. And they had set up a credit line with the Bank of Forest in Forest, Mississippi. So
and a credit line, I know most people are going to know that, but a credit line would be pledging some type of asset in order to get a line of credit.
That's correct.
Which is just pulling money that's treated as cash to go do something. So if you were to go like a line of credit on a rental house to go buy land, when you buy the land, it's treated as cash, but you're taking a line of credit against an asset, more or less taking a loan on that asset.
That's correct. That's correct. And it was basically just the banking to be able to buy the tracts of timber. But so the company's in Alabama, so I'm basically doing everything. I mean, I had my own contract. They didn't even haul to these mills over here. So I'm had my relationships with the mills. I'm kind of doing the banking. I mean, I'm not really signing, but I'm calling the bank, sending them the title opinion, kind of doing it all. And that was, so I graduated college in 98. So it was a pretty short window there. To your point, April of 2021, I started Southern Land and Timber. And, looking back on it, I mean, I had a salary and a truck and a cell phone and health insurance and was making commission and a 401k and all that kind of stuff. Had an opportunity with a guy that I had cut his timber on, formed a relationship to be able to access a little money at the time. And my wife was pregnant and we just bought a house. And I decided one Monday that we needed to go drop my truck off in Alabama and I was going to start Southern Land and Timber.
How old are you?
I'm two. That's 2021. I'm 50.
2021?
No, I'm sorry. That's 2001.
There you go. All right. So
25, 26.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Probably not the best move, but I mean, it worked out.
It was the best move.
So anyway, so I did it. Started buying timber, opened up Southern Land and Timber.
How much money were you making? I mean, you ain't got to tell me, but like at 25, 26.
When I was working for that company, I was on a salary, which I think was $45,000 a year. And I was making a commission, off the timber and kind of production based and I probably made, I don't know, 100 grand, 120. I mean, I was making pretty good, especially back then, making pretty good money.
Yeah. To not walk away, you stayed in the same industry, but that's a bold move.
Yeah. I just felt like, I kind of felt like I was doing it anyway. Mm-hmm. But, the day you drop the truck off and you're back, you're like, oh, yeah, this is really all on. Yeah, this is really all on me now. Decisions have never been a big obstacle for me. I don't tend to overthink. I've made some bad ones, but I make them quick and I stick with them. So, I kind of look. You made your bed. Now let's giddy up.
I will say that I have sold Stephen Cook a lot of real estate over the years, and I'd love to kind of tap into how he's been a mentor to me over the years. But I will say, if you sign a contract, you don't fiddle fart around. You close the deal, whether you like it or not.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I will say that's, and I think that goes a long way. I mean, especially with realtors, because and we've talked about this before. You work with a lot of different realtors, and that just goes such a long way. Because just knowing that you're going to consummate a sale is just, you're going to get one of the first phone calls from other realtors. When they run across something, they're going to think, hey, call Stephen.
Yeah, I've kind of always wanted to be, the old cliche, top of mind. You know, I'm gonna do what I say I'm gonna do. You kind of know what I'm looking for, and you know, if I like it, we'll do it. If not, we'll
Yeah,
we'll
and
find
he'll tell you
another.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that yeah.
So started buying timber, doing that really kind of on my own for, I mean, just me for probably maybe 2 years. And then had a buddy that I graduated forestry school with that was kind of looking for something to do. And I was like, well, man, just come to work for me. So he kind of came over. We started buying timber. Anyway, I look up 07, 08, and I've got a couple of foresters working for me. I've got a company logging crew, and we're probably running 6 or 7 contract loggers. So I mean, we're all in. You know, we're buying and we're buying a lot of timber. I mean, I think we bought 84 tracks one year,
Golly.
which is rolling. Now they all didn't get necessarily cut that year. You know, you get some of the swamps. I actually have gotten up to a 3-year timber deed on some stuff that are really in bottoms and stuff like that. So we're rocking and rolling, stress levels through the roof. You know, you just gotta get up every day and go kill it. And 08 comes around. And I'm watching the news at night, and housing starts are down, and it never, I mean, I shouldn't even say this out loud, but it never dawns on me, hey, I'm making 2x4s.
Right.
Yeah, this might
Trickle down.
Well, 6 months later, it trickled down. And I had formed a really good relationship with a couple mills. One of them was Georgia Pacific in Louisville. And so I was buying a lot of timber for them, and they were backing me on it, meaning they were giving me the prices to be competitive on them.
Right.
And you sign a contract with them. You know, they'll take the wood, you buy the wood, and I'm rocking and rolling along, and then all of a sudden 08 hits and they shut the mill down. Well, I've got all this stuff bought. A lot of money out, and they're like, just hold on, Stephen, it's gonna work itself through. And I'm like,
pay the interest,
you know,
just,
and I'm like, well, I know, you know, this ain't what I signed. I buy it and haul it to y'all.
Right.
And finally they called me into the office, and they're like, look, man, I hate to tell you this, but we're not opening the mill back up.
Oh no.
And they didn't. It's now Winston Plywood. It stayed shuttered for 5 or 6 years and all. So I mean, I was nervous.
You had a stomach
extremely nervous.
Stomach full of inventory.
So I had to start, and everybody, the whole industry's like this. So I couldn't just call another mill wherever, because I'm not their guy, and I need to start hauling y'all wood. So I finally filtered through all of that, lost a lot of money, kind of came out on the other side, and you know, just looked back and said, you know, maybe there's a different way to kind of do this thing. So I shuttered back. I shut down my company logging crew, ended up with just the same guy kind of working for me. And we just kind of took a little smaller approach with it, which was actually a good thing, because it got me in a little niche, over on the Big Black River, Yazoo River, Delta land, and kind of hit, to your point, the hardwood management and the wildlife management. And that's a huge part of the timber business in our part of the state. You know, there's a lot of people that really don't want to cut, but their biologists tell them they need to.
Right.
And in order to do that, you've got to slow down a little bit, and it's not just rip it and get it. Mm-hmm. You know, when we're in those hardwood bottoms, you know, I'm fully aware that most of my clients, you know, this is their recreational piece. Now, they're coming out there on Friday evening. They're going to ride around on Saturday and Sunday and that kind of thing. It's not just a timber investment for them. So, I'd get my crews, look, Friday at dinner, shut down, sweep out all these roads, pick up all the trash, get it look, because these guys are going to come right around and they don't want logs across the road. You know how logging jobs look and all. So, in order to do that, you're slowing production down some. You've got to get a little better margin in it, and you're not just running, which is what all these other guys are doing.
Yeah.
Just buying as much as they can. So kind of got in that, started buying a lot of timber in the hills in Yazoo County, which is a completely different animal, but just wrapped around trying to take a little smaller approach to it, more personal, I guess. Mm-hmm. Forming some relationships with some bigger landowners and stuff like that. And so we made it through all that. While I'm doing that, I start buying some land and timber tracts. And I would either cut the timber or thin through it and put roads and food plots and all that kind of stuff on them, and then turn around and resell them and that kind of thing. So
how old are you then when you started?
That was
I don't like saying the word flip. I don't like that. I don't think that's a good way to frame it up, because you're adding value to property, and there's
that's right.
Not that you said that, but I'm saying, like, when people are like house flippers and land flippers, that's just not I just don't like that term. You're taking an asset that nobody has vision for, creating value, doing the improvements. There's a pain in the butt factor that goes along with that, and there's contingencies of things that could happen and go wrong, and you're taking the risk of buying the land or the house or whatever. So, anyway, that whole market. So when did you start? What year or how old were you?
I was kind of picking up some land while it was going on, because you buy somebody's timber and they tell you that, Uncle Joey's wanting to sell us 40 acres or something. So I was, and I thought, I still do at that time, that land and timber was the best investment I could be in.
Right.
So I started buying some stuff that say is 10 or 15 years out from being mature. Mm-hmm. And I could go thin it and kind of sit on it, make some money like that. And then I just kind of rolled it in. So I bought a 40 and then an 80 and then a 160 and then a 320. I just kind of leveraged into some stuff while I'm kind of buying some things and selling them. That's probably 2010, when I really kind of got in that pretty heavy.
So.
Do what?
You're probably 30 or so.
35.
35.
Yeah, somewhere around in there. And now that's really what I enjoy doing. I've kind of got into a mode where I'm working with some bigger clients that I've known for years. I'm buying a good bit of land myself with timber on it. So I'm still buying timber deeds and from the public and all that, but I'm running 2 crews now and just kind of slowed down a little bit and trying to work the real estate side a little more, which is kind of transitioned into some
development,
development, dirt pits and commercial buildings and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, for sure. We're partners on several different investments, dirt pits, commercial buildings, real estate, residential development type stuff. So, but being flexible and open to kind of morphing into whatever that is, and not just being hard-nosed in the timber, is probably your saving grace, I would think. Probably if you just stayed in and just were going hard, cutting timber and stuff, and not being open to, like you said, you had the initiative to see that there was a market for big black corridor recreational buyers, and and you kind of molded into that. Like whenever you said you went to a more personal approach on the timber side,
right?
And then you see the opportunity of buying some land and seeing, the margins on, developing a tract and selling it versus just cutting the timber and going to the next deal. So I think that says a lot, and it's probably a big part of your success is just being open to change. And like you said, like you make a decision, because and you know this better than anybody. When a deal pops up, you have to execute. Mm-hmm. And if you got to go home, talk to the wife, sleep on it, analyze it, call everybody that's not in the land business and get their opinion, it's too late. Deal's gone.
Yeah. I've always, and you've got the same folks where I was going to buy that. I've heard that so many times, and I get it. It's big decisions now. I
could have bought that for 5 and acre, and that's 10, but you didn't.
That's right.
Somebody else did.
That's exactly right. And I just kind of look at it. I'm a land guy. I believe in it. I like it. I want to leave some to my kids. I'm that, but it's kind of an inventory for me.
Right.
That's my business. That's
how
what I do. That's how
right.
I feed my family.
That's how we make a living.
But to watch the progression of the value of recreational property in our market right here. we're in little old Mississippi and sometimes get the short end of the stick on everything, but you can't recreate the Mississippi Delta. I mean, that's not everywhere in the country. You can go kill big deer, but we're sitting on, I mean, God created, a beautiful landscape that's built for wildlife. And the recreational value just kept going up, and I kept seeing that. I mean, used to, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, land was worth what the timber was plus the dirt value.
Right.
Or the farm income plus the dirt value. I mean, that's just how things were. So, I mean, you didn't go put food plots in and build roads and gates and build a cabin. You didn't do any of that. I'd thin the timber and stick it in the market bulletin, and the neighbor down the road would buy it. And that's completely different than what I can see now. I was talking to my daughter who just got into real estate, and I was trying to explain to her, 25 years ago, when I went to show a piece of property, I met a guy out there, and we rode around and did whatever. And now you've got to have a 4-seater because the wife's coming, the kids are coming. I mean, it should be, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it is.
But it's transformed into that kind of stuff. So capturing the value in that kind of on the front end, I think was probably a pretty good move for me.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, to your point, I mean, we obviously don't have elk. We obviously don't have all these other big game like deer, duck, and turkey. I mean, as far as deer and turkey, you're in one of the best places in the state of Mississippi to be, right here where we're at. So,
and don't forget those ducks; they make people go crazy.
To your point of land value is dirt plus timber. I've seen some grown men make some wild decisions over a mallard duck.
Exactly.
And people get into this, what's something worth? What's it worth? I always say, I've never seen a mallard duck on an appraisal.
That's exactly right.
It is worth what another person's willing to pay. And if you've got the history to back it up, then it fetches a value that is, to your point, there's land, there's dirt, timber, and recreational now. Yeah. What's the recreational value?
And I also think, although I'm not on a lot of it, but this social media, it blows my mind. I mean, I'm an old guy, but I mean and there's nothing wrong with it. But that posting the pictures, and we use this seed on our food plots, and we like these kind of stands. It just creates something that I think's a good thing. Most of the people I deal with, I mean, this is a family. You've got a farm up there, and your family goes, and the little ones go, and it's you can be together. I mean, I just think it's positives all the way around.
It really is, from an investment perspective and all that, making the memories. And we always say that running joke that you can't kill a turkey in a stock market or whatever. But I know we got some financial advisors out there listening, but you can't beat it.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's see. What else do we need to talk about? All right, so you morphed into that. I would love to kind of talk on just how we met, and like I said, how you've been a mentor to me, because I've learned a pile of stuff from you, and I appreciate you being there with me. I remember, I don't know what year it was, but you had Paul Tigert was working with you, and I heard your name like you were out there. You were like a ghost, man. It was like nobody ever saw you. You weren't on Facebook, and it was like, but you were on every dang deed in the chain of title, and it's like, who is this guy? And so that's kind of how I got to know you, was through Paul Tigert, selling some tracks. You bought some tracks that we had listed, and man, just being a fly on the wall and watching how you operate. Because like you said, I mean, I'm not trying to say you some old dude, but you have the way that business was handled. Like, I picked up a lot of breadcrumbs, today's world of social media and Land Glide and OwnX and Land ID and all these mapping. So, it's like, if you go back to grassroots effort of like writing somebody a letter or calling them on the phone, like, you can get a lot of things done. And I've picked up a lot of things from you on that over the years. And then really just like, hey, we'll take this deal, and how to underwrite a deal. looking at, all the infrastructure costs, utility, depending on what you're doing. Obviously, a rec track's totally different from a subdivision deal, but there's a lot of potholes that I've been able to avoid by watching the way that you've done things, like it's amazing to me how you can take a landlocked 40 and like you pitch it on me and I'm like, I'm not touching it. And you're like, give me the deed. I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll get access somehow or another. Next thing you know, you got it done and you've doubled the value, so just that's been very, very instrumental over the years.
I think one of the biggest things I've tried to do is just be transparent with people. And I know that you and I have had those discussions before, but just get them on the phone or get face to face with them and just be transparent. Hey, this is what's going on. I've got 40 acres back here I need to get to. What can we work out?
Yeah.
Or any kind of deal. And sometimes you get in these things and people don't want other folks to know their business and all. So you got to kind of be a little careful on that kind of stuff. But just, the old saying, try to do what you say you're going to do, and don't pull the wool over somebody's eyes. Just be transparent with them,
No, I agree with that completely. And that's, just looking at my business, and that's because it's so easy to hoodwink somebody to get one sale done to make a little money. But if you take a completely different approach and just be transparent, and I do that, like, if I'm showing a piece of land or showing a house or something, I'm gonna tell you the pros and I'm gonna tell you the cons. And when you tell somebody the cons, they're like, this guy's being genuine, and if it sells, it sells. If it don't, it don't. And
I remember one of the first tracks that you showed me back all those years ago.
What was the first track I showed?
Man, I can't remember, but I remember thinking you weren't selling me.
Yeah.
That piece of property.
I hate the salesperson.
I didn't. There was no pressure involved. You actually brought up some of the cons on the piece of property. You painted a full picture.
Yeah.
It wasn't just all roses. You know what I mean? And I was like, and that's what I've tried to encourage my daughter to do. You don't have to be salesy. Just lay out the information. That's what the people need.
That's right.
Is the information. You're the professional in this. You know the comps. You know the area. You know what's sold. Just be, again, transparent with them, and it it'll kind of sell itself.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe there's some really good ones out there, but getting somebody to buy a piece of property that they don't want to buy just seems hard to me.
Well, it ain't right. Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And with you, it's like, we've got a deal going right now. You're buying a tract from me, and it's like we went and looked at it, and within 5 minutes, you're like, I'll do X. And it's like, but that comes from years of experience, years of buying and selling and learning. And it's like that, what I see in you is when you talk about loving your job, and I know we always joke around about people think we ride around in 4-wheel drive pickups with the windows down, headed to the bank, dipping snuff. And like, that's, that's, there's an element there, but it comes from years of experience in doing these things. But man, we're doing there ain't nothing more fun than what we're doing.
Oh, I love it. I tell people, if my bills were just taken care of, I'd be doing the same thing. I cannot imagine working in a job that I hated every day just to make X dollars to support the family. I know everybody's situation's different, but I'm truly blessed to be able to do what if I could pick, this is what I'd be doing. Yeah. It's almost like it's not real. You get to do, you love it. I do, and I love the people I meet. And look, there's plenty of stressful situations. You go bite off an 8.5% interest rate for a little while, and that'll get your blood going. Yeah,
it's not for everybody. It's definitely not. But I remember, like, one of the early years when I'd met you, I remember you saying that, when I'm 80 years old, if you call me to come say I got a track to look at, you're going to jump in the truck and run, go look at it.
Yeah, I've got a guy now that everybody tells me you're supposed to have, so I'm doing the retirement thing, and he's forecasting out when you want to retire. And I'm like, man, I guess I'm gonna slow down, but I mean, if I hear about 40 acres, I'm in the pickup truck. I mean, you've called me before, and I mean, I literally, if I hear about land and timber or timber track or something at 6 o'clock on the evening, I can't sleep the night before.
Studying the maps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to.
Yeah, I've got you pretty well figured out, which I'm pretty confident. I was telling Hannah this before we started that I'm probably the only person on the planet that would be able to get you to this table to get on the podcast. Because again, you were a ghost. People didn't even know who you were. But I lost my train of thought. I was fixing to say something. What were we talking about? What were we sitting there talking about?
I have no idea. This whole thing's been a blur. I have no idea get ready to edit. That's all I can tell you. What did Bauer say? I feel like I sound like cornbread.
So one other thing, and this is kind of be the last thing I guess we could hit on. There was something else I was fixing to talk about. I can't remember it, but I do know, like right now, a lot of people are talking about, like when you got in the business, it was the heyday and everything was rolling good. But like people aren't thinning their tracks now because there's no money. They've been preached to all their life that they're gonna make $250 an acre on the first thin and $500 on the second thin, and like the money's not there right now. Mm-hmm. And coupled with that, you have the drought, the beetles. What is that looking like? What's your temperament on the market and the future with the timber industry?
We've made a little progress. We've got several new mills, kind of in the area over the last 5 years. Sawmills, or chipping sawmills, which is a good thing. They take some of the older, bigger stuff, and you get paid more money for it. But what that does is every time they open up a new pine sawmill, they're creating chips, which is hauled to the paper mill. So it means they don't need as much round wood. So it's very hard to get first thinnings done now. There's no money involved in it,
but you have to do it from a timber management.
I mean, I do some stuff with. I've done a good bit of stuff with potlatch in the past, doing some thinnings for them, and they're kind of going to a different spacing, putting fewer trees per acre out, and basically what they're trying to do is skip that first thinning,
combat
and you can get to about 20 years old and have a component of chip and saw, which is a smaller grade saw timber tree. It's just smaller, just so you can get the loads out where you're not hauling everything to a paper mill because we can't get the wood. We're on quotas and we just can't do it. So they're trying to do that, and then conversely turn around and just clear cutting at 27, 28 years old, and that's kind of the rotations they're trying to run now. But when I grew up, I mean, the people that were planting around Pelahatchie and all was the boom, and they're projecting, you plant these trees, and at that time you were probably getting $300 or $400 on your first thinning, and you was probably getting $800 to $1,000 on the second thinning, and they projected $3,000 an acre on a 30-year-old mature stand.
So everybody was doing it,
and it's just not there now.
Plus you had the surplus. I mean, I don't know how it affects total volume wise, but like all the CRP, the mid 80s when the CRP program came out, Conservation Reserve, taking farm ground and planting it into pines. I mean, that added supply there for the,
Yeah, you deal with it. And it really hit like Madison County pretty hard because, it's a kind of an affluent county, and the land, the best use for the property got over ag. Right. You don't put cows on it anymore. Somebody builds a 3,000 square foot house and all. Well, some of the guys were getting older. Kids didn't take over, so they're planting in pine. Well, they're getting this CRP now, and that makes sense to them.
Yeah, it's an annual payment.
Right. But then you go to thin it, and you're like, man, it's $1 a ton, and they're raising cane, but you don't think about, well, you've been paid for 15 years to put that never comes into the equation. Now, I'd be the same way they are. You want as much as you can get, but the investment side it got a little different. I have over the last couple of years started getting some phone calls again from guys on a straight timber, no rec, find me something with this age group plantation on there. And there are some upside. The timber business driven by timber business is driven by mileage to the mill and all that kind of, so you can hit some pockets where you can still come out pretty well on some stuff if you were able to manage it and get it thinned.
Right.
It's still a positive. You can still make money in timberland investing. It's just forestry is just a slow progress. Nothing's fast in it, So you're looking at I've showed you some tracts before that, are retailed out on the market and they really work, but you're going to need to thin some timber, cut some timber. It's kind of a 10-year deal. But if you look at your rate of return on it, it's still pretty good and it's solid. It's just there.
Right.
They call it banking on the stump. Nobody's making you cut those trees, so you can kind of weather some up and down and stuff like that.
And we talked the other day about insurance. Timber insurance. So if you're looking at it strictly through the lens of investment, you go buy a rental house, you get homeowners insurance on the rental house. There's not anything for the timber.
There was some stuff that popped up after Katrina that I heard some landowners talk about. I think they even went over a little bit of it at the Mississippi Forestry Convention and all. But I don't know anybody that's ever done it.
Right.
But that's always, these bugs the last 2 years in Madison County has been rough. And you just, you got to cut them and get them out of there.
Yeah.
There's no other option on that stuff. So, there's risks involved in everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate our friendship. And you may not look at yourself as a mentor, but you've been a mentor to me, and I really appreciate it. And I'm going to get back to looking for you another deal.
There we go. So, thank you, Paul. Thank you. Enjoyed it.